On the day of May 20th, 2005, deep in Cajun country, the city of Jennings changed forever. On that day, the first of eight beautiful Jennings women were found dead, murdered, dumped like garbage. Most were mothers, all were daughters. I traveled to the city. I saw where the bodies were dumped. Who killed them? Who were they with at the time? I'm pretty sure I know. Y'all wait to the end to hear my opinion. Let's dive into the case right now. Good evening, my Cajun cuties, and how are y'all? Happy Wicked Wednesday. It's me, Anne Marie, aka the Cajun Crime Queen from Carrincou, Louisiana. Cajun born, Cajun bred, and when I die, I'll be Cajun dead. I hope after this video that y'all like, subscribe, and comment, and don't forget to press on that notification bell so y'all never miss a video from yours truly, Anne Marie. I hope y'all have a beverage. I hope y'all have a cuddle partner, or the best, a cuddle fur partner. Oh, I love animals so much. And I hope you're ready to hear a case from me, Anne Marie. And today we are going to start with a highly requested case, and a case that I have followed for years and years and years and years. It has almost been 20 years since the first murder. Who are we going to talk about today? The Jennings 8. On May 20th, 2005, Loretta Lynn Chasson was found floating in a canal. There was no cause of death. They couldn't determine what happened, but Loretta did live a very high-risk lifestyle, often seen in drug houses, walking the streets, doing anything she could to get drugs. And there was drugs and alcohol found in her system when she passed away. She was recently separated, the mother of 3 boys, and was last seen on May 17th by her brother getting into a vehicle with Frankie Richard. It was normal for Loretta to vanish for a couple of days, sometimes weeks, so nobody went into a panic when no one had seen her for 3 days. Loretta was happy, she was a free spirit, but at a very young age became addicted to drugs and alcohol, which was terrible. So a lot of people that knew Loretta said, oh, she must have overdosed. But if she overdosed, she didn't throw herself in the canal. So somebody must have did it. And they also found in her body was a small patch of blood behind her hair up here, which could have been a blow to the head, but no one really knew. Now remember, the last person she was seen with was Frankie Richard, and Frankie Richard was well known in the community as a drug dealer. He also abused drugs. He said he ran strip clubs, prostitution rings, and he was just basically a hard ass. Everybody knew him. He was the big bad wolf of Jennings. And remember his name, y'all, because his name is going to come up a lot in this case. Sadly, there was no cause of death with Loretta. Her body was too decomposed. But as y'all may know, we frog in Louisiana. Frogging means to go and hunt for frogs. Well, on the night of June 18th, 2005, less than a month after Loretta's body was found, froggers found the body of Ernestine Marie Patterson Daniels. The police came, but her cause of death was obvious from the start. She had a slit throat and bruises to her body. Maybe she put up a fight. Now, this is the second body floating in a canal. And as we all know, a lot of serial killers have a pattern. A lot of them don't have a pattern. Was this coincidence? Was this on purpose? We don't know. We don't know if this was by the same person because one was, no cause of death, and one was cause of death was a slit throat. Ernestine was a very happy and cheerful girl. She was a loving mother of 5. She was recently separated and sadly turned to drugs. And drugs and alcohol were found in Ernestine's system. Gosh, that's so sad. That is so sad. Those poor 5 children, y'all. Those poor children, they don't have a mother. Oh my God, my heart goes out to all of them. But Ernestine was a different case as well because 2 men were arrested for her murder. But sadly, these 2 men, there was not enough evidence. It was supposedly one of their girlfriends had said something, but they didn't know if it was true, so they couldn't hold them. There was just no evidence to keep these 2 men. So again, Ernestine's case became cold and they started searching for Ernestine and Loretta's killer. Now, both Ernestine and Loretta had very high-risk lifestyles and would do anything for their drug habit. A lot of people looked at Frankie Reshort and his niece Hannah, but no charges were laid against him. There was nothing on him, even though the last person to have seen Loretta was Frankie Reshort. But did she buy drugs from him? Was she just getting a ride? No one really knew. They questioned Frankie, they questioned his niece, but there was nothing on him. Nothing had happened in Jennings for almost 2 years until March 18th of 2007 when the body of 21-year-old Kristen Gary Lopez was discovered in a ditch. She was badly decomposed, y'all, badly. It was so sad. And there was no cause of death because in Louisiana, you know, it's very hot and humid, and sometimes when a body sits there too long, it's just too decomposed to find out anything. But the worst case, and turn away if y'all don't want to hear this because this is disturbing. They also believe alligators had chewed on Kristen, which is sad. Y'all, as a parent, to hear that about your child, just somebody just tossing her like garbage in a ditch and throwing her there like she's nothing. And then alligators may have chewed on her. She was too decomposed to identify right away. Y'all, it is so sad. But here is another body found in water in a ditch. Here is another body in the Jennings area and very close to where Loretta and Ernestine bodies were found. And remember, Loretta and Ernestine's bodies, they were only 5 miles apart. So this person was around the area dumping these bodies. And Kristen Gary Lopez had a very high-risk lifestyle, just like Loretta and Ernestine. Just like Ernestine and just like Loretta, drugs and alcohol were found in Kristen Gary Lopez's system, which is terrible. She was only 21 years old. She was described as a social butterfly. She loved everyone and wanted to be around everyone 24/7. She was happy. She was cheerful. She was also mentally disabled, even competing in the Baton Rouge Special Olympics. She was a well-known visitor of Frankie Reshort, and even stayed with him at some hotel, low-budget hotel, and they were seen partying together. She was hanging out with her friend Tracy Chasson, who was the cousin of Loretta Chasson, and supposedly the girlfriend of Kristen Gary Lopez at the time of her death. And Frankie kicked Kristen and Tracy out of his hotel because they were caught stealing, as he claims. This is what he says. Now, we don't know if Tracy and Kristen were in some kind of relationship, but we do know that they were seen a lot together and partying. Now, Frankie's niece, Hannah, was the best friend of Kristen Gary Lopez. And one day she saw her and she was walking, she picked her up, and Kristen was all beat up. She lifted up her stomach, she was full of bruises. She said, "Oh my God, Kristen, what happened?" And Kristen says, "I got beat up badly with someone that had brass knuckles on." She was like, "Who did this?" She never said, y'all. She never said a word. Why? Why not? What did she know? What did she not know? No one knows. Why couldn't she tell her best friend Hannah who did this to her? And also, Kristen was having relations with either Hannah's father or Frankie. Hannah says that she walked in and witnessed Kristen trying to hurry up and leave. Is that true? We don't know. But was Kristen doing things with Frankie to get drugs? Were the other girls doing things with Frankie to get drugs? Maybe, maybe not. But we do know that Kristen was seen with Frankie on several occasions. And Frankie's name, as I told y'all earlier, is going to come up a lot in this case because he was the known drug dealer in Jennings. And he was very, very close to Loretta and Kristen. We don't know. He may have known. He may have known Ernestine, but we just don't know. But we knew he had a lot of encounters with Loretta and Kristen. Now, I have spoken to a lot of people about these cases. People have emailed, text, messaged me talking about this case, and they all asked me the same question. Why was there a 2-year gap? And as we all know, or some of y'all may not know, but I'm here to tell y'all, because y'all know me, I dive, tread water, and just give y'all all the knowledge I can when I'm working on a case, so y'all don't have to. Now, as y'all know, I covered Derek Todd Lee. I even had an encounter with him. If y'all go back to my videos, y'all can watch that video. He murdered Connie Lynn Warner in 1992, and he murdered Ronnie in 1998. So there was a big gap, a 6-year gap between those two. And like I always say, something could have happened to the murderer. You know, there could have been a tragedy. They could have moved away and came back. You just never know. But nearly 2 months later, on May 12th of 2007, the body of Whitney DuBois was found. She was 26 years old. She was a mother. She was a daughter and had a very tragic life. Y'all, this little girl, my heart went out to Whitney on so many different levels. I was shocked, and I was so just, my compassion went out to her and her daughter, because the life she lived was horrible when she was growing up. Her mother abandoned her. Then her and her sister Taylor went to a foster home. Then the DuBois family fostered the siblings in, and then her mother wanted her back. And when her mother wanted her back, she had several different partners coming along, and for 3 years they SA'd and abused Whitney and her sister Taylor, and they were severely beaten. They were brought back to the DuBois family, and that's when Whitney, who was already damaged, she was already destroyed. She had a horrible life, y'all, as a young girl, and she turned to drugs and alcohol and would do anything to support her lifestyle. And she had got clean. Whitney had got clean, but she got pregnant. She had she was clean during her pregnancy. She had a cesarean, and she had to be prescribed pain medication, and she got back into that lifestyle, which was sad because she was so close to going the distance with her and her beautiful daughter, Beyonce, but just kind of got stuck and fell back into that lifestyle. And guess what, y'all? The last person that seen Whitney alive was Frankie Richard. That's the last time she was seen with anyone. Now, here we go again with Frankie Richard. But I have something to say about this case. This was a little weird. Supposedly, a man drove up to Frankie's house and by the name of Jamie Trahan and said, "Hey, I just found Whitney's body on the side of the road." So Frankie said, out of respect for the DuBois family, he brought Jamie over to the DuBois family, and they told him, and he said, "I feel so bad for this family, and I want to put $1,500 down at the funeral so they can bury their daughter." Well, he didn't have $1,500 to give because the check that he wrote bounced. And when he was questioned, he said that the cops said, "Why were you out there in the middle of nowhere?" He said, "Oh, I was out looking for a car to buy." Well, there was no car lots around there. And he also says that he didn't really have money to buy a car. When they found out all of this, they knew something was weird. Why was he out there? And now Jamie Trahan, who spoke to Whitney's niece, says that he went inside Frankie Richard's brother's camper and saw a person laid out with a sheet over them, and Frankie rushed Jamie out, and they said, "What's going on?" And they said, "It's Whitney, she overdosed." Now, is that true? Is that not true? We don't know. This is what Jamie claims that he saw and that Frankie told him. In my opinion, I think he maybe dumped Whitney's body, Jamie Trahan, at the site where she was dumped. We don't know. Was he involved? Was he not involved? Is he just saying this? We just don't know. But the whole thing was sad. The absolute whole thing. But her body was freshly dumped. So they thought they were going to get evidence. They're like, this is a good thing. Maybe we can get some kind of evidence to stop all these murders. But the only thing they found were high levels of drugs and alcohol, which wasn't a surprise to anyone. Now, the crazy thing is, there was no cause of death determined. So are these girls dying of an overdose? Are they not? Why isn't there a cause of death being determined? What is going on? We just don't know. But the police are trying everything to find the killer. In the early morning hours of May 29, 2008, a body was found along the roadside. The body was identified as 23-year-old Muggy Brown. There was a cause of death, and police knew the cause of death right away. She had a slit throat. She was stabbed 7 times in the neck and 3 times behind the right ear. Then her body was drenched with bleach. Y'all, this was a brutal murder. This was brutal. This was terrible. All of these murders are terrible. Muggy had a very high-risk lifestyle. Drugs and alcohol were found in her system. She was a happy person. She was a mother. She was loved around town, but she was also known to be on drugs, and she was also known to leave and come back. But on this day, Muggy never returned. Now, this is kind of weird. All the victims were found without shoes. A lot of people say, why? Why were they found without shoes? Okay, I have 2 theories, and y'all tell me down in the comments below what y'all think about this. Now, what do you do when you go to somebody's house and you're ready to relax? You kick your shoes off, you cross your legs, you having fun, you with someone that you know, you just feel comfortable and relaxed. Or, that's one thing. Or, could the killer be taking trophies? Could the killer be saying, I want something to remember, like Ted, like Derek? A lot of serial killers, they take something so they can remember the case. So was this killer taking the shoes, or were these girls taking off their shoes? We just don't know. At this point, the Jennings community felt that the cops weren't doing enough to protect them. They couldn't figure out, why weren't these crimes being solved? What is going on? Where is the killer, and why aren't they finding them? And on September 11th of 2008, hunters reported a foul smell coming from a wooded area, and that is where they found the remains of 24-year-old Crystal Benoit Zeno. She was happy. She was having fun. She had moved to Jennings with her parents. She had a very high-risk lifestyle, and drugs and alcohol were found in her system. Now, this is a twist to the case. Now, we all know that Frankie Richard is involved in some kind of way. We always hear his name come up, and he was the local drug dealer. But a Lafayette man reported that he saw 3 men exit the wooded area where Crystal's body was found. And guess what? One of those men that was coming out of the woods was the friend of Frankie Richard. Y'all, this man his name just keeps coming up. It just keeps coming up. What is going on? This is the 5th victim. What is happening? Why are these girls just dropping? And Crystal, yes, she had a high lifestyle. Yes, she did whatever she could to get drugs, but it's not a right to murder someone, dump their body like they're trash. And I highly doubt that, because there was no cause of death determined in Crystal's case, like several others, if someone does overdose, are they going to go in the woods and overdose? Were they dumped there? We just don't know. And the cops didn't have evidence because the bodies were so decomposed. Crystal was a very kind girl who loved everyone, but she just didn't love herself. And on August 29th of 2008, Crystal called the sheriff's department from a gas station. She told them where she was and wanted to speak to them. When they arrived, the police, she was gone. She had left already. Why? Why did she call the police? What did she know? What did she not know? She also told her mother, Mom, I know all the victims. I've known all these girls. A lot of the victims had lived with each other at one point. They all were around. And Crystal told her mom, Mom, what if I'm next? In my opinion, Crystal knew something that she wasn't supposed to. She knew in her mind that something wasn't right and she may be next. Is that why she called the sheriff's office that day? And why did she leave before the cops got there? What did she know? Did she call and someone take her? Was she calling because she didn't feel safe? What happened on that day, the last known day that Crystal Benoizino was seen and heard alive? On November 2nd of 2008, 17-year-old Brittany Gary walked 5 blocks to the local Family Dollar to buy minutes for her cell phone. When she didn't return home, her mother reported her missing, and on November 15th of 2008, her body was discovered. It was very, very decomposed. Y'all, how sad. She was only 17 years old. 17. I remember her mother, Teresa Gary, begging for her daughter to be found. I remember it like it was yesterday. Her body was badly decomposed to the point where when they turned her over, her face was gone. How traumatic for a parent, how traumatic to know that. This is so sad. Her friend said that it looked like there was blood around her clothes had been ripped. The whole thing was very, very scary. Brittany was a drug addict and did turn to drugs. And the cause of death was reported later by her aunt as asphyxiation. How very sad and traumatic. And guess who did drugs with her mom? Brittany's mom, Teresa Gary. Frankie Richard. Another case that Frankie Richard is involved in. Frankie's daughter Lauren and Brittany grew up together. Teresa Gary and Brittany Gary, mother and daughter, moved into the house where Frankie was living, and Lauren Richard and Brittany Gary became best friends. They did everything together. It was just so sad. A 17-year-old with her whole life ahead of her. At this point, the Jennings community was growing more and more frustrated with the police. Why couldn't these murders be solved? Who was doing it? Who was killing all these girls? Who was murdering all these girls and just dumping their bodies? Now, were these girls overdosing and being dumped? Were these girls all murdered? They wanted answers, and they wanted answers now. Yo, this is scary. This is very scary. I remember when they were looking for Derek Todd Lee. It was the scariest thing ever. I was petrified. I was terrified. I couldn't stay alone in my house. You want that safety back. You want to feel safe in your own home. And the people of Jennings didn't feel safe. And 26-year-old Nicole Guillory was a well-known drug user. She was often seen walking the streets grooming her hair. She had a long list of crimes behind her, and she told one of her friends, if something happens to me, it's the police. And she also told her mother, when her mother asked, hey Nicole, what kind of frosting would you like on your cake, as her birthday was just in a couple of days? She said, oh mama, I'm not going to live to see my 27th birthday. What did Nicole know? What did she see? What did she witness? What did someone tell her? Was someone looking for her? Was she hiding? What was it? We just don't know. And on August 19th of 2009, on the side of a highway, Nicole Guillory's body was discovered, and the cause of death was strangulation. Again, this was another very sad and terrifying murder. But Nicole Guillory was the last known victim of the Jennings 8. There were drugs and alcohol found in Nicole's system. Was this a killer? Was this a serial killer? Was this one killer? Was this more than one killer? Who was killing all of these girls? And was there a serial killer in the Jennings area? In Jennings, there's the south side of Jennings and the north side of Jennings. The south side community said the cops weren't doing anything because the victims were from the south side with high-risk lifestyles. They said if this was a girl from the north side, the case would have been solved right away. The Jennings community thought the police was somehow involved. There were reasons for the mistrust. Some members of law enforcement at the time had done some wrongdoings. One officer bought a vehicle from a potential witness. Another was fired for losing evidence in one of the cases. Other police agencies were brought to help solve this case in Jennings. They could not solve this case. They wanted this case solved so very badly. They couldn't figure out who was doing all these killings, and they wanted the case solved ASAP so the community in Jennings could feel safe again. What do you have if you don't feel safe? You don't want to live your life terrified 24/7. And the name that kept coming up in every case, almost every case, was Frankie Richard. He was a well-known drug dealer. He had seen the girls 24 to 48 hours before they were found or before they were disappeared. He was intimate with most of the girls. He had a long list of crimes such as fighting, rape, drugs, traffic violations, several things. They also said he had something going on with the police, and that's why he was set free out of jail and he was just living his life. He said that he wishes that. He wishes that he knew somebody in law enforcement, but he denied everything. He says he does not know anybody in law enforcement, and he just did not commit these crimes. But did he? Did he commit these crimes? What do y'all think? Tell me down in the comments. Was it just so happened that all the girls were found with drugs and alcohol in their system? They had partied with Frankie before they disappeared? What was going on? And the community of Jennings wanted the victims to have justice, and they wanted the families to know why their loved ones were murdered, brutally, dumped, overdosed. What happened to these mothers, daughters, and loved ones? What was going on in the community, and was it the same person? Frankie Richard's daughter, Lauren Richard, says that she thinks her dad knows more than he's saying about the crimes. She doesn't think he committed the crimes, but she thinks he knows more than what he is saying. Now, I want to talk to y'all about serial killers. There are several different types of serial killers. Yes, there is a serial killer profile, but people such as Ted Bundy and Derek Todd Lee, they a lot of times take breaks in between their murders. Then you have people like Sean Vincent Gillis, Ronald Dominique, Richard Ramirez, who just goes back to back to back to back, killing in a matter of weeks or months or years. But in Jennings, when you look at the map of the murders, it's like a square. They were all found around a 5-mile radius. And so in my opinion, I think that the killer or killers or whoever it is knew the area well and knew where to dump them so they couldn't be found or they wouldn't be found, or they wanted them to be found right away. Maybe they knew the victims and they felt bad, so they wanted them to hurry up and be found, or maybe they didn't know the victims, that's why they threw them in canals. We just don't know because it's very different. Not all the crimes are the same, but a lot of the deaths are undetermined due to, in my opinion, decomposition. In the state of Louisiana, it is very hot, it is very humid. You walk outside within minutes, you're drenched. I think a lot of these bodies, a lot of the evidence was washed away because of the heat and because they were left in canals and maybe left there too long. We just don't know. But I think the killer was around the area. My final thought, you know, I always come to y'all with my final thought, but I'm sure y'all already know who I think did it. Yes, I think it was Frankie Richard. That is my personal opinion. I want y'all to form your own personal opinion and do your own research. But he was the last known person to see some of the victims. He was with them 24 to 48 hours after they disappeared or were murdered. He partied with them. He did drugs with them. Some of them lived with him. They were visitors of him. It all kind of links back to him. But I want y'all to tell me who y'all think it was. And I want y'all to tell me, do y'all think it's the same person? Do y'all think someone else was involved? Do y'all think the cops were involved? Who do y'all think was involved? And if this was a serial killer, was it Frankie? Or was it someone that knew the area very well? We just don't know, but I want y'all to tell me. But in my opinion, I think it was definitely Frankie Richard. And I don't know if some of y'all may not know, but Frankie Richard passed away in the year of 2020. He is no longer with us. But when I visited the beautiful city of Jennings, I visited some of the graves. I went to the canals. I saw where some of the bodies were dumped. I passed in front of where Frankie Richard lived, and it is a very small town. So I think everybody kind of knew each other, and everybody went to Frankie for their drugs. So I think, like I always say, he's a big bad wolf of Jennings, and I think all the evidence points directly to him. But but y'all tell me. I hope all of y'all have a Merry Christmas. Yes, it is Monday in just a couple of days. I'm so excited. I love to see my girls open up their gifts. I love to have family, friends, all the gatherings, and I love to see what I got. And just to be around family, that's the best thing, to be around family. This case, y'all, was very hard, and I hope y'all got the most of it. And I want y'all to know that I love y'all all very much, and I'm so grateful that y'all support me. And I want y'all to like, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to press on that notification bell so y'all never miss a video from this Cajun cutie, Anne Marie. And don't forget, stay safe out there. And I love all of y'all so very much. And Merry Christmas. Mwah. Bye.